Happy Friday the 13th, everybody. Welcome to This Week in WordPress. I'm BJ and I am your host. And this Friday the 13th, I hope that all of the news, resources, and tutorials that we have jam-packed in this episode for you don't scare you away. So get excited, hold on to something, and let's go. All right, everybody. Oh man, I have been away for quite a while. It is going to it's going to take me a little bit to get kind of back into the swing of things. I hope. I want to welcome everybody. Welcome back if you're a viewer from before, and if you are new, then welcome to the first time. This Week in WordPress is a live stream where we go through a lot of news and resources and tutorials that have really been published this week. More than that, we talk about them with stuff with people in the comments, and they bring up stuff that was going on with their life this week, and just we talk about stuff. We're friends. We make Friday go just a little bit better for everybody, I hope. And so feel free to say something in the comments. I do my best to follow along, and sometimes get confused on where I'm at in the show because I start having a conversation with everybody. But like I said, it's just a fun, nice place to talk and have fun and get to know each other and talk about WordPress. So before we get started, I want to remind everyone that we do have Elegant Themes open blog submissions. I know I mention this every so often. I just want to remind you that if you've ever had any ideas for something that you think ought to be on our blog, this is your time to really show it, write it up, and talk to our content manager, Nathan, about getting it on the blog. We'll pay you, and we really want to showcase all of the cool work out there that the Divi Nation is doing. So that's the very first link in the description of this video. So check that out if you have wanted to do that and haven't. And if you've told me that you need to do it and you have some ideas, then go do it, people. You need to read those. So we're going to have cool stuff coming from that already. Now, this week in news, there was some stuff going on, and I really wanted to actually focus on ET more than anything this week because I've been away, and I found some really cool stuff going on that I didn't know had been going on because I've been away and kind of just, a little bit crazy. So this past week, our content manager, Nathan B. Weller, a lot of you guys have seen him on the Divi Nation podcast and just around the blogs, he's everywhere. He was on the Divi Chat podcast, and they were talking about Divi and WordPress meetups, and we're working on getting a lot of WordPress meetups going for the Divi Nation, and you can check that out at meetup.com. But one of the things that they were talking about was just the community around Divi and WordPress and how awesome it is to meet these people. So the Divi Chat people are great. If you've never listened to the podcast, give it a shot, and you'll get to see our content manager Nathan on there this week. So the link to that is in the description of the video as well. I see some people in the comments. Hello. From Australia. Hi, Andy and Umesh. Reed. Yeah, I know I sometimes get distracted, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes. And I will. So I'll try not to get too distracted, but I can promise nothing because I think that's just a part of my personality. It kind of frustrates my wife sometimes, I think. Excuse me. And so the next couple of things I wanted to talk about in the news was one of these snuck past me somehow over the last month. And so the third thing under news, well, let me start from the beginning here. This week, we published a sneak peek of the global default setting that we're going to be introducing into the builder. I didn't know this was coming, and I am incredibly happy about this because it's one of my biggest frustrations with just using Divi is that I'm constantly having to go into each and every module of the same kind and set the same defaults. I end up cloning a lot of my first module and then altering a lot of the other settings, and it's kind of redundant. So we're introducing the global defaults where you can set that every blurb that you start out with will have a blue background or something like that. Every text module will use use this font or something like that, where I love the this idea, because I use these kind of things all the time. I actually ran into that this past weekend when I was working on a site, and I then see this sneak peek. So I got really excited about this. And down in the comments, as always happens when we're talking about updates to Divi, somebody had mentioned the theme builder, and somebody had mentioned the header and footer, of course. You guys, the header and footer is coming, all of this, which is what snuck past me. Like, I knew that the theme builder was coming, and I knew that the header and footer were coming as well. But the third link in the description of the video here is the actual theme builder sneak peek. Back in May, we had published this, and there was a video on how it's going to work. And I'm not sure if all of you guys saw that or not, but I wanted to make sure that I linked to it, because Nick had linked to it in the comments of the global defaults post. And whenever I saw the Divi theme builder in there, I was like, oh, great, that is already, there is a working model of it that they can show off. So I was really excited about that. Mark in the comments on YouTube says, yeah, but when? And that's the question of the hour. I don't know. That's not part of something that I know. I am hopeful that we're going to see it this quarter, that I'm crossing my fingers as a user that we see it this quarter, but I have no idea. It's done when it's done thing. I've been paying closer attention the last couple of weeks on the dev workflow and seeing how everything is going and what they do to quash bugs as they're going through the releases. So, we're looking. I know that it's a frustration on some people's parts. Yours especially, Mark, from the sneak peek initially. I know that it's a frustration on when it's going to come out, and we are going to be able to. We're going to get that out, and I know that is not what everybody wants to hear, but it is something that is being hard at worked on. And that's the main thing, Reed, is we want to release it with as few bugs as possible. I mean, you can't release software without some bugs. I mean, that happens. But a lot of it is that I've learned this past week of them knocking out bugs. That, as you can see in the sneak peek, it is working and functional, and it's going to be awesome. But they're making sure that it actually doesn't mess up your site. That is one of those things that I'm glad about, because a lot of people, one thing I'm proud about us is that we don't mess up sites with new updates as often as other pieces of software. And I've never had a site just straight up ruined. And Goshen Web said that the email for the custom support or custom post support, did it just come through? It came out now. I'm checking my email right now while you say that, because I'm like, I want to see, because I was about to say I'm not sure on that one either. I know that it's really soon. And oh my God, you're right. It came out at 2:10 p.m. It came out 3 minutes ago, you guys, that the Divi powered custom post types is live now. So go update your Divi because it just came out. My God, that really did come out like 3 minutes ago. I will, if you haven't seen the link to it, obviously because it's been out, I will post the link in the description of this video so that you guys can see it immediately. As you can see on one of them on Facebook, I didn't remove the UTM stuff. That's great. That makes me really happy, and I don't know why that tickles me absolutely so much, but it does. That someone was asking when it came out, and there has never been a time in my entire life where it's been Now is when it's out. Where that's great. Thank you, Goshen Web for telling us that. That's awesome. So there you go, Juan. There's custom post type support. You're welcome. Thank Nick for that. I've got to thank him for that personally to have it like when he sent that out. So y'all enjoy that. I'm gonna really enjoy that. For like I said, the project I was working on this weekend. That's part of it that I want to use myself. So hi from India. I see a couple of people from India. That's awesome. I know it's really late there. By the time it's probably, what is it, around midnight, I think, in India right now, or am I wrong on that? But it's 5 a.m. Smurf. Oh my goodness. That's early. That's too early for watching me, man. Nah, I really appreciate that, you guys. I really appreciate y'all being up late and early to see what's going on. So I really, like I said, really do. And the last thing, well, next to last thing in the news is an article that we published that actually I talked about on the last show that I was able to do with you guys before everything kind of blew up. That we published this one about Baba Yaga. It was the malware that came out for WordPress. It was the one that I was talking about that was really fun and cool in that it was taking over other malware and really make sure that it owns your site. And we wrote up, well, I say we as in Elegant Themes, not as in me, did an article about what that means for you and what the Baba Yaga malware actually does and how you can protect yourself and all that. So that being in the news is because that was a very important blog post for you guys to pay attention to make sure that your sites and your client sites don't get messed up with that. And lastly, well, my goodness, I have extra. I must have put in extra stuff in here in the news. My goodness. Not lastly, again, I'd also mentioned on the last show that we sorry, I did. I got distracted, Reed, because of I saw about Uncle Social's potato internet, and I'm sorry. You'll get those 12 minutes back though, Unc, when this is over, because we record it. So the next to last thing that I have in the news is actually one of the Doc Pop News Drop videos. I really like these, and he's just talking about the WordPress 4.9.8 release, that it's coming up, that we are getting that Try Gutenberg button coming into WordPress when we update to 4.9.8. And we know that that's going to be in August. He kind of walks us through when we're going to be able to expect all of this, when the code freeze is going in. And I just want to keep this in the news, keep this in your mind, that once you have Gutenberg on your site, when 5.0 comes out, that you and your clients are going to need to install the Classic Editor plugin that's out now, that is the Classic Editor that we're using right now to be able to keep the exact same functionality as before. So and if you're using it, it's supposed to disable the Try Gutenberg button in 4.9.8. I did read that if you have that plugin installed already, it's going to make the preamble to Gutenberg not present. So just keep all that in mind. I wanted you to know about that. So that was really cool. I see in the YouTube chat, I made a bot in Divi that pulls in videos, and it pulls videos days before they're released. You're always the first person. Oh my goodness, Smurf. You, I know exactly what videos you're talking about too on YouTube. I'm gonna, that's hilarious, because I know when I log into YouTube to do the live stream like this, I'll see a list of all of those videos where the the YouTube videos are uploaded and being scheduled. So I think that's funny that I'm always like, oh, that's the one they're publishing this week. And you are too. So that's awesome. And Discord bots are great. I love them for that, being able to do it. So I see Isom on Facebook. What happened to the inline global toggle? It was there and now it's gone. I don't know about it. Inline global toggle. Is that like when you're saving the modules, because that's the only one that I've noticed. I knew about global. That may be something that I wasn't sure about, that I didn't know about before, that I'd never used an inline one. Ask me, explain for me, please. Also, ISOM, I don't know if you saw with the automotive dealership and the car rental place, different themes that we had put out with the layout packs. Hopefully those are useful for you, because I know a long time ago you had mentioned those as well. So hopefully some of those worked for you as well. And and the last thing, this is really cool. I saw this today and I just had to bring it up, because I know that we have a lot of people from South America and near Malaysia that watch the show. And so the WordCamp incubator, which is what they do to really start out the WordCamps, the WordPress conferences, they do an incubator program, but they have chosen that Montevideo in Uruguay and Kota Kinabalu, I'm not sure how to say that, in Malaysia, are both going to get WordCamps this year. So you're going to be able to have a single track WordCamp around you if you're near there and you don't have anything going on near you as well. Their first time doing it, they're learning what they're doing, and those are some of the most fun conferences to go to. So if you're new Montevideo or Kota Kinabalu, I can't say that one, but if you're in Malaysia or Uruguay, then you need to check those out for sure, because you've finally got WordCamps coming to you guys. That's awesome. And in the YouTube chat, they're talking about, is the Divi team concerned about the buzz over page builder in the page builder space on the two new entrants, Oxygen and Brizzy? I think they're credible threats because a lot of Divi owners are all over these two builders. I've heard a lot about Oxygen. I don't know anything personally about Brizzy. This was one that you're going to have to remind me. Well, you've reminded me and you've told me that I'm going to have to look up after this show, but I know that I haven't used Oxygen, and I've seen a lot of people talk about how absolutely fantastic Oxygen is. I'm thinking, I don't know how to say, we're not concerned. We're obviously aware of what's going on as a company. Nick stays up on everything. I don't understand how the man knows as much as he does, but he has his thumb in so many pies. It's crazy. And we are very concerned. We're not very concerned about like being overthrown or anything like that. What I think is going to happen, it's going to be, let's see, how can I put it? I gotta think about how to put this. It is going to be interesting because it's going to push us to really get out a lot of features. That it's going to get a lot of what I think from each of these different plugins, what's going to happen is that each of us is going to find a niche. That what we do is going to be one thing, what Elementor does is another, and what Oxygen and Breezy do are going to be for different people. And the way that I see it is that we're going to be targeting toward different demographics. That's kind of the way that I see it falling out, because say for Elementor, it's free and Divi has the membership. So we're going to be targeting a completely different kind of designer than Divi or than Elementor, and even Gutenberg when it's coming out. So I think that we have enough of a lead, and we have enough of a fantastic product that we know our audience and what you guys want. And yes, I know that is headers and footers. Believe me, I know that. And we know what you want and what you like, and how to work with the different plugins and for the sites that you make. I think that what they're going to do is push us into a good direction to take Divi and make its future. And I know that sounds kind of like a political answer, but I really do think, based on the conversations I've had, that I know that some of us are watching it, see what they're doing, and making sure that we focus in on the elegance and the we're not trying to put out a lot of foundational features. We want to make your lives better. And that's really the core goal of Divi on its own, is making designers and web creators of any kind having the easiest, simplest, most functional way, most functional workflow to do it. And we're watching a lot of this to make sure that we do that, if that makes any kind of sense. Also, thank you, Uncle Social, for handling the 3D image thing. Yeah, the only way I know of to do 3D images in Divi is with a plugin, and Divi is going to get cooler and keep helping productivity from devs and DIYers. I mean, that's, like you said, that's the main goal. That is what we do. Is want to make that, increase that productivity. And that's why a lot of it, we focus in on the community, because we see some people who, in our community, in the Divi community, like I've mentioned this before, that we have third-party plugins that handle certain things. And like I've been using the Divi Space Page Builder Everywhere for menus. That's something that I use when I'm building pages and doing everything like that. When I don't want to use the default menu, I'll do a header in with the Page Builder Everywhere plugin. So I know we've got answers for stuff right now, and we are letting those answers work while we get the best version of it that we can to make your lives easier. And thank you, you guys. I do believe that the layout team is ignoring your request, Uncle, for the Japanese llama farmers in the Middle East. I think that's honestly too much of a niche, kind of a niche market. If you would like, though, feel free to ask the Oxygen folks if they would make it for you, because I'm kidding. I need to actually try Oxygen. I've never done Oxygen, and I've never heard of Breezy, but no, that's they are good. Like everything I've heard about Oxygen is good. So that said, all of that, that was great conversation. It's still going to keep going, but I want to do my welcome everybody who is just tuning in, who is new here. This is the This Week in WordPress stream. We go through news, tutorials, and resources that were published this week. And because I've been gone for a couple of weeks, this is really stuff that I've just found basically over the last few weeks and really wanted to show you guys. And we're moving into the tutorial section now. We just finished up the news section, and all of the links for that are in the description of this video, as well as when this video is finished, you can go back and watch all of it from the beginning, so that if you're a late arrival, you will not miss anything and you get to see even more of my shining face. So I see Judy saying late arriving, but your mental refreshment. Oh, from having to work on a Drupal site. I'm going to take my time drinking that, and so that I can apologize very profusely for you having to work in Drupal. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Drupal myself. That's one that I've messed with, and that I just personally don't like. I know a lot of people who work in it. It's like, man, I'm good. But anyway, moving into the tutorials. The first few are my quick hits on the Elegant Themes blog that I always want to show you guys for what we're doing. The first one is how to use SVGator to animate SVG files, and I did not know that this service existed, because this blog made me really happy, because I always want to use the animated SVGs on sites, and there are WordPress plugins that take the security issues away, but it takes a lot of CSS to make the SVG do what you want it to do and animate right. And so this is a piece of software where you can just animate them and it exports it out, and you can use it in WordPress that way. And with Divi, you can use it with one of these plugins, and I didn't know it existed. And if you want animated SVGs, which yes you do, go check out this blog, because I didn't know it really existed, and I'm glad. Apparently the service is like $18 a month or something along those lines, but when you need something that looks absolutely perfect on your site, then $18 is a small price to pay. I'm sure that you guys have paid that for plugins for clients before. Oh, I hate it, Smurf. I hate that you're leaving. I do hate that that it is not very convenient on your over in Oz, but I was not the one who did the time zone thing. We actually set it up months and months ago, so all of them were kind of coming out at this point, except for Max on Monday morning. I wish you didn't have to miss them live, but they're all on the pages archived. So hopefully you'll see me tomorrow, and I'll say hi then too. So, oh no, Uncle Social now has to go help a neighbor with his garage door. I'm so sorry. Have fun with that. Maybe they'll bake you a cookie or something. Hopefully. No, that's the South. I don't know what they do in England for helping your neighbor. I don't know. Y'all are gonna have to tell me. Like here in the South, somebody would probably bake us a plate of cookies or something along those lines. I have no idea other places. So the Isom said in the Facebook chat regarding the global toggle, there was a way to toggle line items that you had set up as global at work for mobile development. Like if you wanted to keep a picture or video changes global and font and margins, phone to allow you to update all at once. I don't know, Isom. That may be an unintentional removal. I am not 100% sure. Ask on the forums about that, because I know in the past that there have been things like that weren't noticed as they go through. I mean, that happens. Ask on the forums about that, because if it was there, unless it's coming with something for the theme builder that they're having to do some sort of prep for, you may want to ask, because that one I don't know about at all. And So yeah, sorry, I don't know about that, but I'm glad you're using the car layout packs. That makes me happy, because when I saw those on the list, I thought of you and have been meaning to actually message you and let you know that they're there if you missed them. So awesome. There were a couple of others really cool on the blog this week that we're talking about. Donyetta did the how to achieve clean and abstract designs with Divi. And this one was really interesting because it's like 8 ways that you can do it just using box shadows and gradients. And actually, she made me rethink this project that I'm working on just as a side thing for a few hours every week on using small light background patterns instead of using bold colors. So I'm going to see how that looks actually next time I dig in on it this weekend. So also, Jason did an awesome blog on creating custom welcome messages and opt-ins, because I love a good welcome message on a site that whenever I see something that pops up and it makes me laugh or really get a vibe for that site, I like the pop-ups at that point. And he talks about a lot of different ways that you can do that. So I wanted to point that out as well. So that's good. And then also, I can't go a week. You know, I had to go a couple this time, so I got to catch up. I can't go a week without mentioning Yoast. All of you guys know that I love the Yoast blog. I'm a big SEO guy. I like to know about this stuff. It's one of my. I don't want to say it's a passion, because that's a weird thing to be really like passionate about. Like, oh, I love poetry and I love art. Like, I love SEO. It's not like that, but I'm super interested in it. And one of the things that I've actually been really curious about in the past was how important keyword density is now. Because a long time ago, keyword density was basically the only thing that Google, outside of links, took into account for search rankings. You know, 10 to 12 years ago, you basically could just stuff keywords in a site to get it to rank. And that is not the case now. So that's something that I was really concerned, I'm concerned about, because in Yoast, when I'm writing, I want to make sure I have good keyword density. I want to make sure that if I'm trying to rank for Japanese llama farmers in the Middle East, that I have my long tail keyword or my specific keyword, my key phrase there, that I'm ranking for in there enough. And like they're talking about the idea of keyword stuffing and things like that. So they start talking about that synonyms are now being used in Yoast's SEO. That's in the premium section, but that Google actually does take into consideration synonyms. They actually take into consideration related words. And I know that I've gotten that I know that I've gotten that before during searches when I've looked for things, and I didn't actually even think about that as something that they searched for, but that would count toward my keyword density, I guess is the way that I need to say it. I didn't realize that if the way they said you might find yourself writing about a forest and want to include trees, and that kind of thing can actually push your keyword density up for search rankings and things like that. So it's interesting that you can do that, and then they talk about multiple keywords and all this stuff too. But I like that blog. Check it out. Think about stuff like that. And I see Mansoor talking about the 360-degree image, the photospheres and things. Edition and Divi theme. There's premium plugins. I've never used a 360-degree image. There might be one on the blog, actually, that I'd seen a long time about panoramic images. Look. This is what happens when you're on a live stream and you start trying to look. I knew that Randy had done it earlier this year. Mansoor, this one was maybe one of the things that you want to use is Panorama. Randy goes through and shows what it is and how it works. Randy Brown's one of our freelancers who is awesome and does a lot of our plugin highlights. He knows his way around the plugins, and I'll include this in the Facebook comments down here as well. But I knew I'd seen it, that this is one of the plugins that he worked through. Excuse me, and I think you might find that one useful just based on the write up that he had done. That's the only one I personally know of, because that's never been something I've used. Actually, on Facebook, Isom does car lots, does auto sales. That may be something that he's used. Isom, have you ever used anything like that for the 360-degree panning images on Divi or WordPress? Because that's something I've never had to use personally. But the panorama Divi highlight is where I would start looking for that as well. There are a couple others here in the tutorial section that I just want to briefly mention and not really get into. WP Shout links to an article on how to use the WP Unq style to load your CSS style sheets. Stuff like that's really useful for being able to get into. There is a fantastic article that's super long on Content Marketing 101 that WPMU Dev did. I can't even begin. I would be able to talk for probably 2 hours on this one. So it's midway down the tutorials. How to drive traffic, win fans, and get sales with your content. Do it. Just click on it, read it, and rather than me trying to tell you and rehashing it because there's so much information there, just know that it's awesome. Go in there. Those are some of my favorite kinds of articles. And there's also one that Code NWP did that's a couple down from that. That's just called How to Start a Blog. And I like these kinds of articles because I started blogging, goodness gracious, y'all, it was 2008, so it's been 10 years that I've been full-on blogging, that I decided to be a blogger. And sometimes you forget what it's like how to start one. That we're so used to dealing with client sites, we're so used to dealing with the businessy side of everything, and the SEO and content creation treadmill that we have to go on sometimes, that we forget on what it's like to go from zero experience with blogging to having an actual following and community around you. And this article goes in pretty interestingly about it and how this person went through and garnered a readership. And I always like reading these because they may not necessarily be something that pertain to me or a niche that I'm in or really even care about. I like knowing that other people's success stories work like this. And this one's cool going through. And there was one that WP Shout linked to as well that is that's down here, and it's how is your landing page good enough to get into Y Combinator? And it was interesting that they had linked to a Your Landing Page Sucks website, which I really enjoyed, because honestly, my landing pages do suck. And going through stuff like this is kind of the best case scenario. This is a best practices on what you want to do on your landing pages. And the first, oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, you guys. Oh, so sorry. The first one is don't use automatic sliders or carousels. And they have their uses, but I think they need to be kind of moved away from as well. For the main one, the main point that this writer makes about animated carousels look like ads and people skip over them. Or they only click the goodness gracious, they only click the first slide, and none of the others get done. So you'll want to just start out with like a hero section for that. So or use a slider for a hero section and have like two that alternate. More than that, really, you're going to see your click through go way down. They talk about ways of using the hero page actually, so that your logo doesn't matter in your hero section, that it's your customers, what they're there for. And it talks about making your logo smaller and calling more attention to what they want out of your page and your business, and just making everything super clear, like short actionable phrases, close more sales, get free medical care, please, get a line of credit, just all of this stuff. That they're like, what does your business do? Buy a car, whatever that is, be awesome. That's what you want to highlight at the beginning of it with a landing page. And they say that you don't use a slogan as a headline. And this is what kills me. This is one of those that I like, because I'm still living in like 2005, in that I like headlines and I like creative taglines for websites. Because like when I first started, I think that the tagline I used on my blog was like Professor Beej. It was like carefully walking the line between a slacker and an academic. And I thought I was so clever, y'all. I thought I was so clever. And but it was stuff like that where that's not what you necessarily want to call attention to first. Like one of them that they talk about is those using them because they're kind of grandiose claims. It's like they have an example of your body reimagined, and then at the bottom of it has measure and track your health and fitness potential in unprecedented detail. It's like, that's what's important. It's like the data that you get is important. And it's like, we get inundated with these kinds of your body reimagined kind of things like that all the time, where they're so sensationalist, we tune them out. And so those short actionable items that you can actually show what your product or your company does for your readers and your viewers and your customers, that's really what you're going to want to focus on. And it goes on and on and on. I mean, there are so many really good things on this that if you only look and really absorb, and I say you, I mean you as in the collective, all of us, absorb like 2 of them and can make those kind of best practices and integrate them into your web design overall as a philosophy, I think that web design as a whole will get a lot better. And Uncle Social says in the YouTube comments that automatic sliders are the splash page of 2018. I think their time is done, especially in the mobile first era. Like I said, I like a single slide, or maybe 2 on a mobile page too, because the reason I actually like them on mobile pages better than I do desktops is because they take up about, like when you have a mobile page like this, a website on here, you'll have the entire page on there, but have this just being the slider, and then you have content under it. And that's okay in my mind, where the slider takes up this amount, and once it moves, it draws your attention. I like that personally, but I don't like it when, the entire desktop screen and, when you're landscaping, it takes up all of this and you get like minor bits of content before the fold. It's like that kind of thing. That's why sliders are bad. So in general, it's better to move away from it. So yeah, that was me talking about sliders. And then one of the very last thing under the how to install under tutorials is how to install WordPress under a subdomain. And this is really important for some people to be able to have a subdomain of their main domain for a side blog or something like that. I personally don't like subdomains because they don't get the same link juice as your primary domain. That's why I like subdirectories. I would like something like bjkeaton.com/blog over blog.bjkeaton.com, because the first one, the /blog, inherits all of the SEO and rankings that the primary domain has. So the top level domain. Some of them are useful when you do stuff with multi-sites. One of the things they mention is like WordPress.com. All of those are subdomains of WordPress.com. You might have jacksparrow.wordpress.com and elegantthemesisawesome.wordpress.com. The Divi Nation users are fantastic. WordPress.com, all of that's on a multi-site installation. So you don't want all of those sites to inherit that exact same, link juice from the main one. But if you're using it as a sub of your main domain, you really might want to consider a sub directory, like the Elegant Themes blog. We're elegantthemes.com/blog. For that is one of the primary reasons there too. So, but if that's something that you want to do and you need to use it, they walk you through the process of doing it as an add-on domain through your cPanel, and it's painless. It's easy. I've done it a dozen or more. I've done it more than a dozen times. What am I saying? It's pretty simple. So if that's something that you care about and you know that your users, clients, or whatever will want that, it is possible to do. And I know that I've had some people talk about, opening up that kind of thing for their own users. That if you have a community that you're providing them a space, there's a lot of reasons to do it, but you don't want to do it as your main site. That's not something you want to do if you're using it as an offshoot of your main site. And I see Uncle Social, third item is a retweet of someone slating Divi. I'm wary of businesses that use their energy to promote other companies instead of promoting their own strengths. It's a business tactic. It doesn't hurt me, doesn't bother me. I grew up getting bullied a lot, and not saying that's bullying. That is not what I'm saying. But I learned that my strengths are my strengths, and that's just how they are. And after just a little bit, you let stuff like that roll off of you, and we know what the strengths of Divi are. So I think that it speaks for itself, honestly. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I came to Divi before I worked here, and thought it was fantastic and better than the Visual Composer that I was using before, which is also an awesome piece of software. It made me a good deal of money and let me start freelancing. I got distracted. See, Reed, I get distracted. I was reading comments. But we know that the strength in Divi. So whatever. And I think Oxygen is good. Like everything I've heard is good. So check them out. I'm all about it. I've got Astra and Elementor installed on one of my development sites now. It's okay. We keep up and we know. I use some of them just to break out of the habit of using something else. But I still think Divi's the best, and it's not because I'm getting paid by them. It's because I use it. And I see Mark saying buy domains of subdomain because of subdomain potential. It's not a bad strategy to do that. It's just one that you need to have a strategy for when you do that. It's subdomains are there for a reason. I mean, you can use them, and they have a lot of potential to do good things with them, especially when you have a multifaceted business that you really need to compartmentalize what you're doing and things like that. They're great. It just depends. Like if you have a singular focus, if you're like a cupcake company and you want, like, that's what you do, you don't want to necessarily have a subdomain for your side project on I don't know, you don't want to have a subdomain for your cakes. You would want to have a different like product page for stuff like that. So it's just, that's kind of why. But no, I mean, don't rethink it, but make sure you have a strategy would be my suggestion on that. Because I've done that as well. I was actually considering how I wanted to do it on the side project with my podcast on doing the subdomain versus my goodness, the subdirectory. Cannot remember the word directory, you guys. But doing one or the other. And because I was thinking about this, because it's a network and we were all like, do we want to inherit each other's link juice on that, or do we want to be completely separate? That kind of stuff. And is it Shelly? It is Shelly Schaffner. Schaefer. Any chance that you guys will develop a radio station layout pack? Give me 2 seconds and I will tell you if it's on the list, and if it's not, then I'll put it on the list for you, Shelly. That's something that I always try to do when I know something like that, because I think it is. I think it's on there already, so I will make absolutely certain. Because if it's not, that's a great idea to have on there. That's exactly the kind of thing that we need. I was thinking we had one on there that was being worked on already, but I may be wrong on that one. Looking through here, sorry. That is... Oh man, we got a lot more on here now. Those are awesome. You guys have some good stuff coming. I'm looking at them right now. I actually... No, we do not have a radio station on there, so added. There you go. That actually, I need to move that to a... We use Trello for this one, so I need to move that card to a different one. But yep, there you go. I added radio station to the list, so I have no idea how they pick them, but it is on there under our thing. So as a suggestion, because that's a great idea, and thank you for that, Shelly. I really appreciate that. And no, Uncle Social, we will not be doing the Llama Farmer FM. Although that would be hilarious if somebody was watching that, that if that's what they do as one of the design teams watching this, and they see that, and that's the template that they do for everybody, is your Japanese Llama Farmer FM. Though let's be honest, that would be an AM. That if it's like that, I worked for an AM radio company or radio station when I was a teenager, when I was 18 and had my own show, and it's like, I know that's going to be an AM station. But yeah, you're welcome, Shelly. Thanks for the suggestion too. That's going to be a really cool one when it comes out. So yeah, let me close that thing out. And then, so yeah, that was, I always do this where the resources section is always the last one, obviously, it's the third in my list. And so it's hard to get through everything and get down to it. So I'm going to implore you and urge you to check out the resources section, because I'm not going to be able to get through all of these in the time that we have left. But I do want to get through some of them. And, if you're just joining us, I know the show is almost over, but it is being saved to both YouTube and to Facebook, that as soon as this is over, it will start archiving and be live soon for you to go back and check out the rest of the broadcast. And we're moving into the resources, so instead of wasting any more time rambling, yeah, right, I'll get into the resources immediately. When I saw the start a blog how-to, the complete guide from zero experience, it reminded me of what a friend of mine is doing on their blog in their blogging community. Every year, my friend Belle is doing a program called Blogust, and it was a way to invite people to blog and really put a community together of established bloggers and newbie bloggers and people kind of in between, to have a community to encourage one another to actually start writing and putting out content. And in general, it's focused around hobbyists and around gamers and things like that. But I wanted to invite any of you guys who have been thinking about becoming content creators and wanting to push anything out and really may have had hesitations for any reason on that, to check out the Blogist Reborn link at the top of resources. I'm actually going to be doing this as I relaunch some of my stuff, relaunching my old pop culture blog. This is a good way to get me back into writing and with my fitness blog as well. And it's a good community. There's a Discord community where we're all talking all the time. And I know that as many people who watch this, and I know that y'all have all mentioned, or not all of you, but some of you have mentioned in the past that you've wanted to write, that that you're interested in the blog side of content creation and web design as well. So check this out. If you want a community of friends who can do that, they're good people. So I wanted to mention that because of the fresh start from blogging. It just fit right in, and it's starting at the beginning of August. So it's pretty neat. Jason also put together an article on 25 ways Google Drive can help power your WordPress business. And if you don't use a lot of the nuanced features that Google Drive and the Google Apps and G Apps or G Suite or whatever it's called now has, check out this so that you can get a couple of ideas, because it is a lot more than just storing files. Some of you are like, don't use Google, and I completely understand that. There is a hesitation with data privacy, all of this that I don't know about. Like, I don't know how what their encryption, storage, and privacy stuff actually is, but they can do some really good stuff for your business. So check it out and see if that's something that would work for you. Also, WordCamp Europe was over a few weeks ago. We talked about it, and there is a What Went Down blog on CodeNWP. It's a recap, and it's awesome. So check it out. I love WordCamps. If you haven't been able to tell that, I'm a big fan, and so I love recaps of stuff like this because it lets you see how fun stuff like that can be. There are a couple on, how to 3 ways that voice response boosts marketing. Talk to people, have voice instead of text, all this. Page value in Google Analytics from Yoast. Sometimes we see this stuff and we don't know what to do, and these metrics are there for a reason. There is a really good interview with Rob Hope from Yo on growing a YouTube following. And like I've said before, community is my big thing, and I don't even like saying that they're following, because I know that's the thing, YouTube following, but I like saying that you're building a community around it, and they've built a community on YouTube around Yo, and they're successful at it. So read that interview, and it's really cool. And then my favorite one was WP Buffs that published a Why Every WordPress Freelancer Should Have a How I Work manifesto. I love this because as a WordPress worker, you need to be able to tell people what you're doing at any given time. This is how you work. That if you go down the street and you run and you're like, I run to get inspiration. I come back, when your clients can reach you, when they don't, what they can expect out of you. Those are really important things for you to actually line up and put down on paper so that people do that and they know what to expect out of you. I see a couple of comments. If we upload a font with the font styling, why does it take so long to load or display? The default font loads prior to the one that was uploaded to use? Yes. That is what I know of, Jay. That if you have a default set, that I believe that it loads and then the one on the page loads. That may It may be another reason, but that's what has happened to me when I see it, like that immediate flash of when things change on screen. That's what it's always been for me, is I've seen the default and then my special one that I used in the module that I uploaded coming in later. It may also be a CDN issue, perhaps, just stuff like that. And then trying to track down the best WP plugin for displaying photos from Google Photos on a WordPress website. Oh, goodness, I've looked for that too. You might want to look at Jetpack. That is something that they included, and I haven't used that feature myself, but they do have a feature for you to pull Google Photos into just WordPress using Jetpack. Some people I know aren't a fan of it, but I think that it does really good. It does have its uses, and this is one of them. So I would check out Jetpack just for the basic functionality of it. But that's the only one I know, because when I found out about it, I kind of stopped looking. So, but check it out and see if it does what you need it to do. And called somewhere. Okay, that was cool. And then the very last thing as we go, I want you guys to go to Pagely. It's the last thing on the resources side, on the resources list that you guys need to look at, and it's the complete guide to WordPress user roles and permissions. And maybe it's because I was working on an article about this week, but there are a lot of issues that can come up if you do wrong assignments for user roles, and this one is it kind of breaks down what they can all do. Did you guys know that contributors can delete their own posts after an editor has submitted them? I didn't, not until just recently. And so now some of you guys are looking at the screen like, oh my goodness, what? And so read the site, read this page, see what you can do. And there are some things that you can do to fix those with plugins like user role editor and stuff like that. So now that I've scared you to death, those of you who work with freelancers, it's time for me to get out of here. This has been fantastic, you guys. I really appreciate y'all doing this, sitting down with me and talking and letting me ramble for an hour about WordPress. And Monique, I see it would be great for Divi to come to WordCamp Baltimore this year. That would be awesome. I actually think I have updates coming from WordCamp Baltimore. I'm not sure when it is. I know I looked at it, but I'm not sure what WordCamps we're going to this year. I know we're going to be at Nashville, and I think that that's the reason that we aren't making it out to a lot of others, but we might, but there's always a chance. So tell us why we need to go. Like, really, that's the kind of thing. You should email Nathan and figure it out and what's going on, why we should be there, because that's the kind of thing that gets us to go, is to meet the community and see what's up. So October 7th, yeah, that's not during a time that I was thinking of. So that's good. Yeah, email, see what we can do. Also, I see some people in the comments doing awesome things. Somebody's doing that. So yeah, I will talk to you guys next week. You guys have a fantastic week and weekend. You are fantastic human beings. I love doing this with you guys every week, and be safe, have fun, and y'all, hopefully, I'll see you Friday. If not, hopefully the world doesn't explode again. Bye, you guys.